Hello guys, if you clicked on this video, you probably play Warfighter, or you don't. Well, anyway, I'm going to show you some cool cards in Warfighter that I like to use in my playthroughs. They are sometimes strong, sometimes they're pretty practical, and sometimes they're just really fun to use. We're just going to start with the guns real quick, because those are just the most exciting, so to speak. So, first off, we have the M72 Law. It is just a very nice weapon to use, very satisfying, especially that 5 penetration. It's going to save you a lot of headaches, because you probably know if you play a lot of Warfighter, most of the time you're going to hit the enemy, but especially if it's an enemy that has a 6 or 5 cover roll, yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to roll that with D6. And anyway, penetration 5 is going to take care of that. It also has pretty good explosion rolls. And, you know, it's really useful if you have objective cards like Bomb Shop, VIP Helicopter, or like from one of the expansions, the Insurgent Chieftain. Anything you really have to kill. Like, for example, here, the Insurgent Chieftain, he has like a defeat cover of 6. The law is really going to come in handy. And it really has also pretty good stats. You can use it at range 5. That's very, very different in contrast to if you look, for example, on the M203 carbine with the grenade launcher. You can only use that at range 1 to 2. And anyway, that's the M72 Law for you. It's pretty expensive though, for like three resource points per rocket. And you know, you're not gonna have that lying around. It's really more useful for like more prolonged missions, and I think it also disciplines you a little bit more, because if you use grenades, you're gonna use your grenades very early on. So yeah, law is pretty useful and pretty fun to use. It just makes you feel like you're really shooting a rocket launcher. So next we're gonna talk about the M203 carbine, which I just mentioned. And anyway, it's pretty handy to use. It has the burst mode, which is pretty standard, but it's like the user-friendly version of the full auto mode. You also have the grenade launcher, which is the main feature you're going to use this gun for. It's pretty useful if you want like if you're going to put it on the main soldier, on the player soldier. Like for example, if you have a player soldier like Stevens, which I was just talking about right now. Stevens is like, he has a medkit, which is pretty useful on longer missions. And for 10 points, that being included that's a damn good deal, I'm gonna tell you. And anyway, if you put an M203 carbine on somebody like Stevens, you're going to save a lot of trouble, because since he's a player soldier, you won't use him that much for firepower. But since you need the firepower sometimes, especially the grenades for like larger enemy groups, that's exactly what you're going to use it for. So anyway, M203 carbine, pretty cool. Then we're going to talk about the whole range. It's like all the machine guns, which are it's not all of them, but these 3 especially. The problem is the base game does not come with any machine guns. This one comes with the first, the Reload expansion. Both of those come with the Black Hawk Down expansion, number 54. And anyway, the machine gun is just like, it almost feels like a reusable grenade. You put down the bipod, and then you can just spray at multiple enemies, and you're just gonna mow down like those group enemy cards and stuff. So especially if you look at the M60, which is most expensive of all of these, but like it has a penetration of 2. So this game really shows like the importance of a machine gun in a squad. So anyway, machine guns, pretty fun to use, many dice rolls. In general, one can say if the more dice you roll, the more fun you have. Now comes the shotgun. This is actually, I think, not fun at all to use, but it is very practical. You wanted to put that on someone. And you know who perfectly fits with that? Base game soldier like Giacomelli. I think that's how you pronounce it. Giacomelli, with 9 resource points, is pretty cheap. He has only 1 movement factor and 2 defense cover. But you know that if you attack good, you will never need to defend. So if you pair someone like Giacomelli with an M4 shotgun, you got a pretty cheap 11 resource point soldier. Especially since he is a player soldier, so you will use him to draw a lot of action cards. And he is kind of like a breacher, so to speak. You will mostly use this combo like to place a location card somewhere, like you place a location card anywhere, and then you'll just send him in and do the first shot. And especially if you combine him with something, with another card. We're just gonna go with the gear, with the equipment cards, and that is the breaching charge. The breaching charge is very fun to use. Breaching charge was in expansion number 2. I think it was the stealth expansion. It's like a breaching charge. You put it on the door and it just destroys, it blows up the door. And anyway, the most important thing is it reduces the entrance cost of the location by 3. So you use it once you're inside, so to speak, and then your entire squad can basically like move within without paying much of the entrance cost. Especially since when you play the Middle Eastern, you have a lot of location cards with it, which have high entrance cost, like thick vegetation, a narrow street, stuff like that. It's going to be real useful, and it is really cheap for just 1 resource point. I'm gonna be real. It's like I wouldn't even have mind if they put the 2 resource point on that. It's just very useful because you're going to sometimes have a lot of cards. Anyway, now since we are back on equipment cards, we're just going to move on to that real quick. And I'm just going to put them all out here. One of these is base game. The others are not. No, 2 of these are base game. Just going to cover these first. So these 2, the red dot sight and the hydration pack. The red dot sight is very useful in a way that you might expect if you know what it does. Because I talked before about the defeat cover roll, which is the reason most of the time you don't hit anything. And that's something that will help with that. The red dot sight adds 1 to your weapon's defeat cover rolls, and especially if you have it on a machine gun or something, you will really steamroll with this. Like, you won't notice it on like single shot, but especially if you pair it with a machine gun which has 3 dice, you will notice it substantially. Because, as you know, the defeat cover roll, it only uses 1 dice, and that 1 dice is pretty significant. So no matter how high your damage is, if you have a 1 in 6% chance that you succeed in your defeat cover roll, that damage is basically useless because you need to rely on the cover roll, and something like that helps a lot with that. And hydration pack? Hydration pack is really simple. You just can draw 1 card more per turn for 6 turns, like 6 cards. It's not going to like always give you cards you want, but it's just good for cycling through the deck. And a lot of the times you will sometimes, like, if you look at the resources you have on many of the missions, like for example, if you have here 27, you will often end up with a like weird resource point count of like 26 or something. You can use that to pack more grenades, but sometimes you have enough firepower, so it's just good to use these and just cycle through a deck more efficiently. Okay, and then we have the last 2. Smoke grenade. Smoke grenade is pretty cool. It's just really handy to use when you're attacking a really like strong location. Like, for example, I don't know if I can find anyone, but like the enemy HQ, it has like really high numbers. For example, if for the 50 to 74 bracket, 8 hostile points is a lot for that, compared to like if you have thick vegetation, it's like only 5. And sometimes you will encounter veteran units or something like that there, and then you can just remain in the location you were beforehand, pop your smoke grenade, and then you can just forget about being attacked. Just take a breather. Now, Little Bird, most fun one, most nice one to imagine in your head, so to speak. This came with the Black Hawk Down expansion. I don't know if it was in any other expansion, but it definitely was in the Black Hawk Down expansion. And it just is really simple. You just put 4 suppress counters on suppress markers on a hostile card, and really it's just, it swoops in, can just suppress anyone, especially effective again against veteran units or squad units or such. And it has no loadout, very important, especially on the Black Hawk Down missions. And 2 is no cost at all. Like, that is really cheap for like one-time use. But that's probably why they limited to twice per mission. So if you don't know it, the difference is if we can compare it to the M9 Reaper, which is in another expansion, is the Reaper says can be used 3 times during admission. Means when you buy this card for 11 resource points, you can use it 3 times. You can use the ability 3 times. But this says limit twice per mission, meaning no matter how much you buy of these, you can only use it twice. So I think that's the way they kind of balance it. But anyway, MH6 Little Bird, very useful, very nice. And now to the last thing, probably what I like to call the breach and run combination. If you have more cheaper units like these, you have like 11, 21, 26, which is pretty funny because we just looked at the lowest loadout. You see that is a very cheap combination. It might not be enough since we need to buy a weapon for Stevens for the objective on location 3 missions, but it's going to prove really useful because somebody like Stevens, he's going to constantly pull action cards, draw action cards, and going to use them. Somebody like Rowe has really high firepower for a squad soldier, like range 0 5 kill. It's really strong. You usually only have like 7 or 8. So that Rowe's somebody like Rowe. He's also base game. All 3 of these are base game. They're going to come in real handy. And yeah, anyway, what you do, Giacomelli goes in, starts charging into the location, and starts shooting, killing. And then you pack Steven behind him. Maybe, in best case, you get him something like an M3 or carbine, so he can just stay in the location before and just shoot with his grenade launcher. And somebody like Rowe can also immediately move up and start with his range 0 kill. And this concept, this is a general concept in Warfighter. So it's not limited to these cards. But anyway, that would be everything. Those are cards I really like to use in Warfighter. Yep. Anyway,